So you can install this Mongo instance on our local laptop or use Mongo Atlas. It's a pretty good thing. I always use it in all my demos, previous demos. So this is the first time I'm switching to the local container. Just wanted to try this, and I really liked it. So let's spend a couple of minutes on this one. What we can do is we can go to hub.docker.com and hub.docker.com, and we can clearly go ahead and see the container, see this image, uh, the Docker image. We can search for the Mongo. I think the net is a little slow now. Explore and we can select the official image, and you will have this here. This is an official image, and inside this official image you will see that all we need to do is pull docker pull Mongo. It gets the Mongo image on our local DB. You guys have done a fantastic job on specifying how do we need to run and the port on which it listens, 2707, and they themselves has given that how do we need to run this. So we need to docker run interactive and give the name of the image, and we can put it this 27107. And if you want to do it through the docker.yaml also, it's pretty much the same. The only difference is we use the only difference is we use this uh, the port mapping. Whatever is a port mapping, we need to do that one. That's a pretty much from that perspective. So we'll see. Come back over here and let me do Docker PS. And the moment I do the Docker PS, I will be able to see here is the Docker container which is running. And I just started 4 hours ago. Just wanted to test that everything is working. So here I will hit on 27017 on my local machine. That gets routed to 27107. Okay, that's the name of that image is Mongo in Docker. So what we can do is we can go ahead and Docker logs, and I can give this container if you want to see what's happening inside that, and you see the tons and tons of logs are flushing out. So tool, we can use it as part of the initial investigation to find out if at all how the things are going, and some of the things which we can do first round of investigation right from these logs. Get deeper Docker inspect and give the ADF4. So we can give the first 3 or first 4 characters, but ensure that you're giving the complete ID of that. So if this guy will give you a tons and tons of information where you can come and do the second round of investigation. So it says that what is that it's going to start, and what is the current state of this, the image it is using, the image ID, and what is the name which we have given. And here you can see that the host port is 27017, and the port binding, we can see this 2701. That's the same thing whatever we have seen there. And other important things is we can dig deeper into this particular stuff to learn at a high level. I'm just trying to quickly go through. So this is the /data/db. That's where this is the volume. On the volume mount, I did a volume mount so that data will be persistent, and this is the volume inside. It says data.db and data.config.db. That's a couple of things. And one more thing I wanted to highlight is the public IP. This is pretty much a very important skill set. You need to know that when you are using it on when you're using that on local, you have to definitely use that, because I'll show that difference. What will be that in a minute. I'll show the difference. Why do you need to use that, right? you need to definitely need to have this. It's public IP. It will be very handy, and you'll spend hours together if you don't use this piece. And that's pretty important to know what is the public IP. Okay, these are some of the things which I wanted to bring it onto the table, which will definitely help us if we are doing some investigation. Okay. Now the next thing is, okay, this is all fine for me. I know that. What else you're bringing onto the table? I said, okay, let's go and do this. Rock and roll. You have to do the Docker exec IT and the the container ID, bin and sh, the shell. I feel more comfortable in the bash, so I can do the same thing. Docker exec hyphen IT and ADF4, the four characters. I will do bin bash. Okay, technically I'm in the same one, so you can see that host name. It's it's the computer on which, I mean, the container on which it's running. So you can see that host name, and I do an exit. If I do host name, it's uh, my host my computer name. It comes as Vishwanath Swami. And if I do the Docker exec and I do an host name, it shows the container name, that because technically that's the computer, or it itself is a container, so it reads it as a computer, right? So if you're command line guy, you can use this. If you're a GUI guy like me, you can do this, where you can see this running logs over here. The one which I showed you through the command line, you can come and do investigation. If something is going wrong, you can get it over here. And the other thing is stats. You can see the memory usage and other stuff over here, and you can do an inspect. Whatever I did the inspect at a high level, you can do here, but it doesn't give that much of wealth of information. Whatever you have seen on the command line, you will definitely not get that much of wealth. But at least at a high level, this gives a pretty good information. But I would suggest we need to get deep down into this one. Okay, now let's do that. Now we are in container. If I do ls, I'll be seeing the file system. I do Mongo. So the moment I do Mongo, right now I'm inside my Docker container. I'm not in my local machine. You see that right now I'm inside this, and it works as a shell. I'm not using any Windows commands. I'm using the Linux commands, right? And you can see that I do show DBs, and I can see that all the DBs are there, and I can say that use books DB, and I can go show collections, and I can say that db dot books dot find, and this one, it's showing all those rows which are there in my this thing. Now I did a pretty, so you can see this few rows. Right now I have this few rows, so let me show you that in a moment. That's executing. So these are a couple of roles. These all the things will be very much important, or will be handy if you are using your local instances, local container of the Mongo, because you need to get down and to find out what all the tables which are there, why I'm unable to connect, and all those things. And I was talking about the inspect and the public IP. That is pretty much very important. Why means I'll come and I'll show you. Because let's imagine a scenario where you're executing your web API, and the web API you're executing through the Kestrel or IIS server, and right now your Docker container is in the MongoDB is inside the Docker container. So when you go to the config settings, when you go to this app settings, those technically this is applicable for anyone and everyone. So if you come to this app settings, inside the app settings, we give the connection string in one method. We say that MongoDB / localhost 2701. Now, if you execute it here, it understands that the localhost is available. Perfect, it goes in. But the moment you execute this shopping API inside the container, now it is two containers in a separate world. How does one container recognize the other container? If you try with this localhost, definitely it's going to blow. it's not going to work. So what we generally do is we can technically come and update this connection string in line number 7, sorry, line number 6. Or one more thing, what we do is, however you're executing, you need to pass this connection string and give the public IP, whatever we have seen that IP here previously, that IP you have to specify. So I've given 172.17.0.2. That's an IP. Now between two containers, it recognizes what should be the path. So that's a high level 30,000 foot about the Docker. Again, I'll show you this piece. That's very, very important because I have spent few hours time wasted. So if you see that the IP address, whatever is at 172.17.0.2, so that's what you need to specify. So have here I can technically switch between uh, the connection string of the local when I'm executing this API using IIS Express Orchestral. When I am executing this particular API as a container instance, then I need to switch the connection string. It should not be localhost, it should be the public IP. So that's about the tip. Why do we need to have these commands, basic commands, handy? Okay, let's come back to the API front, because I already created this entire application. We'll go step by step, but I just created at a high level what this application is and how does it look. Let me do a clear, and so that we can keep this guy side and handy. Let me show it. I mean, we'll be doing everything, and we'll spend a lot of time. Okay, so I can quickly come and add this and come back to list. So all these things are getting tracked. Which API I'm going to, and what is the content length which I'm returning, and what is the milliseconds it is taking time. So everything is getting tracked over there. Suppose I can come to George Reddy, and I'm creating his thing as an inactive. So that will be uh, all the things whatever I'm doing, I can go ahead and I can see that those things, what everything is getting tracked to the Morgan logger. We'll see about that. And that's about this one. Let's see the API first. Let me close this. Let me go to the backend. So this backend we have created using the Node.js and Express. Okay, so that's a pretty simple backend. So I'll just talk through what are the things which has been used. Anything which I wanted to highlight, I'll highlight that one. So first thing what I wanted to highlight is about these two files, env files and example.env files. So if you come to the dot git dot git ignore file, you see that env local env development local, or these are the files which are being ignored by default. Okay, so if even if we use this env file, that's not going to be checked in into any project repository. So we are safe over there. Okay, we are pretty much safe over there. So I've uh, used my connection string to my local host. And imagine, as I was mentioning, suppose if this backend, if I'm adding a Docker file and executing it as part of the container, then we should not use localhost. We should use either the container name or the public IP. I'm going with the public IP until unless we are not using the Docker Compose to spin up multiple containers. I will go by the public IP, whatever the IP which you have seen in the previous command. Okay, so ensure that please do not ever store any connection string. Then create example.env and specify what should be the connection string, just like your MongoDB, your MongoDB server, your port number, your database name, something like that. But please do not store any of those credentials or any important things there, and ensure that before checking, you're not without knowing, you're not checking these files. Ensure that those files has been tagged inside this git ignore. That's one tip. And coming back to this one, let's start seeing this one. It's a pretty much simple Node.js server. I have Chalk. We can use Chalk or colors, but I found Chalk. People are using Chalk colors, and one more guy are there in the game. So when I go and see the trend, the Chalk was leading, so I was more lean towards this Chalk. Uh, okay, that's a simple thing. So I'm using chalk.env express, express async handler, joy for schema validation, mongoose for mongodb, and morgan is for this logger. You see this, all the logging stuff which is being spit here, they are coming from this guy morgan. So we'll see real quick. I want to show you something. Suppose if I have tweaked this one. Now I'm coming back here. I do save. Now it's node 1 is restarting my server, and it is trying to go and find the MongoDB server. And inside this persistence, I have created a file just to connect. I'm just connecting it. And if at all it is connected, I'm showing that in C on bold that I was able to connect to my MongoDB connection. Please do not do this one. I did it just as this is a hello world, because I'm splitting this the connection string. That you do that, that means your connection string will be in while, and people are going to bring down your database. Please never ever do this. I'm doing it only for the demonstration purpose. Okay. And once I'm not able to connect it, I am spitting this error message chalk.red.bold that I was not able to connect the host name. I am spitting it over here. That's the red one. So if I go back and fix this, so I do come back over here, and now see this, within a fraction of second it was able to connect. Please do not ever do this. I'm doing it, I'm really sorry, but please do not do this one. I'm splitting this connection string, and it has come here. And that's, I mean, I'm just highlighting few of those points. And if you I just want to show one more point. Let me go and just one more small improvisation I did from my previous this thing. Let me go and select this one. This was part of my mean stack demonstration, which I did last year, I assume. I don't remember exactly. So if you see this, if you see this one, at all the places we did this require, and here also you see this, all the places we have require. And one small improvisation over that is, this time I'm doing the import. And one catch over there is, if you I tagged this one as a module, and when you do a module, you have to please be very careful when you are using that libraries which is coming, framework libraries. You have to specify, like, import the particular item from the library. It's going to recognize. But if it is the file which we have written, let's assume we come back to this router, and router was written by me, and I exported this export default router. And that's what I'm saying, that import book router. That's what I exported it here, book router from this one. And if you want to do this and go ahead and save this without the JS file, it's going to crash. It says that it's not it's unable to find it. So that's one particular tip. So if you want to use import and make this as a module, the type as a module, and ensure that all the classes which you write, you can do import from that particular class. Ensure that you are having this JS extension. That's one particular where am I in app file, so that app.js, we can come and see the differentiation. If you see this, express is being like this, constant require, but I did import express, and here everything was required, the Morgan logger or the book router. So I did it using the import here. That's one small improvisation over that. And the next important thing is this course. I have made it wide open, but we should never do that. Please ensure that you are doing very least privileges, had only the host which we should allow, and only the methods which we should allow. Do not ever open it for wide. I just did just for the demonstration purpose. Okay. And in the previous version, I have used the same one. Some people will use body parser. Now Express, they themselves are are providing this out of the box, so we can use this one. Previously we use this body parsers to parse the body. Okay, that's one particular thing. And coming back to the server, I'm giving the high level tips without wasting much of the time. So the other thing is, this we have already covered. And okay, the other thing is, how are we using that env file, .env file? So you can drop the env file at the top level, and you can use it. At the time, you don't need to go ahead and specify the path. But I want to highlight that from my, yeah, you can do directly like that. You can say specify require or import whatever it is /env/config. That itself will take care. Now, if you are storing this env file somewhere in the folder structure, please ensure that you are giving the full path of that. So I said path.resolve process cwd current working directory, and then backend /config.env. So that's when it's going to pick up the configuration whatever we have specified here. And you don't give that, you have to struggle for a couple of hours, or you might crack it in a minute or two. But I spent a couple of hours breaking my head and scratching my head. Even though I don't have ears, I had to scratch my head to figure it out if I stored it in a different location. That's one tip. And other tip which we have already seen, that if I'm not able to connect, I am exiting the process, because I don't want to go ahead, and because we can't do anything if I'm not able to connect to the data store. There is no point in we going and trying something. Okay, cool. So that's one thing. And other thing is, we have to focus on this models real quick. And we are using this mongoose, and have this picture, url, title, author, some basic types. And this one is schema validator. So in the previous version, I have used joy, happy joy. You can come and see that models, the schema validator. I have used this happy joy. So if you try to go ahead and search this happy joy, so they themselves will specify that this has been deprecated. So even if you go to this npm of this happy joy, so they specify that happy joy has been deprecated, uh, move to this joy. So that's a joy validator. So all we have to do is, from the schema, whatever you want to verify, if we are not specifying these things, it has to break. So difference which I saw, where am I? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So one particular difference which I faced problem yesterday is, like, if we use this JavaScript, we will have an habit of using the number as a lowercase n. If you see this book schema, here the number is lowercase. But here in this mongoose schema, if you go to this mongoose schema, if you go to this mongoose schema, I want to show you the data types, where it has got uppercase. So the schema types, if you see that, the schema type is uppercase n. So it's not a lowercase n. Just be careful if you want to do, if you're using this one, just ensure that there is an uppercase n. That's another tip. And have couple of middlewares, one for this Mongo, one for this logger. So this is Morgan Logger. I really like this guy. They give all beautiful logging. What was the end point? I mean, it's like we can customize. I just kept it to the pretty simple thing, but we can customize as much as we want here. Okay. And the controllers are pretty much simple controllers. You can see that, like get all books. We're just going await book, the book model dot find, so it's going to find everything. We have seen that we did it here from the console in the MongoDB. Okay, now how do we add book? There are small mini validations, not such a big one. We are first doing a basic validator. Whatever is the required parameters, if we don't specify, it's going to throw an error. And a similar book, if it is existing, then it says that similar book already exists. In both the things we are specifying 400, and once it is there, we are creating it. Okay, I think we are covered pretty much thing. I can go and check this. See, we have all these things. It has come out. So we have four. Just wanted to check that. Do we have four rows or anything more? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have five rows. So I think it should be five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I counted it wrong. I'm really sorry for that. Okay, so this is George Reddy's. This thing is here. So I want to go and capture this, and we'll see that post we will see in a moment. So we'll do the send. So you got that George Reddy's details. It shows that the book is active. And one more tip over here is, just wanted to keep it simple. Today uh, I'm testing with the local host, and tomorrow the URL might change. I might run on a different port number, even though it is local. I might run on a different port. So all we can do is we can go ahead and create an environment, and inside that environment we can go ahead and create a variable and host it here. Because the advantage is at this point of time, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 endpoints. In real time, we might have a minimum 20 to 25 or more than 50 endpoints we have. And every time I can't go and change the port in all 25 different uh, tabs. It will be a painful thing. So all I can do is I can pretty much come over here and change this at one instance. Please, if you are using this, this is one of the other tips which we can go ahead and do that. So we have got this George record. So I can come back over here in the put. I am going here, and I want to send this, see if it is working. If not, I will send all the other parameters. I did false. Then I can come back over here and come here. A small, right now you can see this, the John's book is disabled right now. Okay, so that's a small thing, and we can go ahead and delete any of those rows we can specify. Okay, that's pretty much. We can come back to the I'm just seeing, did I miss anything? Okay. Okay, these are the methods which we have it here, and the entire source code, whatever I'm showing here, will be available inside this folder, Speaker Series 2021, and inside that you will be seeing a folder called 11th June 2021 underscore bookstore underscore MERN, and here you will have both the back end and front end, except even that example, whatever the config which I've specified, example.env, even that will be pointing to your local host. If you have the local instance of the Mongo installed on your laptop, or you have the Docker container, you have covered. If you're using the Atlas, Mongo Atlas, or you have some other Mongo instance, ensure that you're changing. And all we have to do is just do an npm install, and you're good to go. Everything is in that way. It's all covered, right? So we'll see. Come back over here, and a small middleware kind of thing, because um, the endpoints, if you see the endpoints like get book by id or update book, or delete book, those all things are the same route, like book slash book id. And you have to go ahead and search this book for every functionality, all these three functionalities. The first piece is the book should exist in the system before you go and either retrieve it or delete it or update it. So that's a pretty much. So even though it's a one or two lines, but still moved it to a reusable method, and moved it to a reusable method, and so that we'll be able to we will be able to use it. I'll come back to that one. And before that, I was able to I want to show that, see this, the specifying that it's been deprecated, please start using this joy. So that's one important point. And this one is async express async handler. I think it's going to take some time to for that one. Let's take PM. Okay, so it took little time. I didn't have that much patience. I'm sorry for that. So this one, a simple middleware for handling exceptions inside the async express routes and passing them to your express error handlers. So that's this one. So how do we use it is, whatever the our async method is there, that method we have to wrap it inside this async handler. So if you want to compare how our methods were there previously, and if I come in over here, so we can see that this was an async method. And let me take the get all books. So that's very simple. So it's just a one line. So we have this one line. So we had this async function. Now if you see that, compare with this latest version, get all books, you have the same functionality. See, this the same functionality, whatever you have it there, get all books, the request and response, and you're throwing this one line, exactly the same one line. All we have to do is this wrap it, and any of those exceptions will get routed to this middleware over here. So error handler, so it properly does that. So we're using that one. And another tip, what yeah, about this one, so it doesn't make sense to every time go and check that. So if you see this get book by id, it's pretty lean, it's just one line, because we are using this as part of the middleware. Every time you go with those endpoints where it depends upon the id, parameter id which you pass, it's one of the way to handle. There might be better ways, but this is what I have learned from others, so I'm just passing on to others. So if it is helpful, we can definitely use it. And update is again the simple thing. We use the same middleware to find if the record exists, then it comes as part of the body. And the delete is also pretty much the same. We use the same one. So here we are exporting these all methods, and coming back to the router. Coming back to the routes, you can see that it's a pretty much very lean router. You don't have any flush inside this. It's just creates express, and we are creating that book router. And we have imported all the methods, the 7 methods, 6 technically, 6 methods we have imported. And the first one, does book exist, that we are hooking it to the middleware. So any route which it finds the book id, so it goes and executes, does this book exist on this particular id? If it, then go to the next step, else it throws from there itself. You can see that in the controller. Let's see that here it goes and tries to find that if at all the book doesn't exist. So I mean, if it is any problem, we are throwing this finder. And if this book exists, then we are calling the next. That means go to the next next handler. And if not, we're throwing 404. So that's the one. And final piece is, it's all pretty lean. So on this endpoint, where without, I mean, for this books, for these two verbs, whether it is books or whether it is get books or post books, so in that there are nothing coming as part of the route parameter. So in that we are calling this get all books get by id. And anything like get book by id or update book by id or delete book by id, where we have this id parameter coming in all these three endpoints. So three endpoints are there, and by default it's going to take care of the middleware is going to run in these three requests specifically, and is going to handle. That's pretty much about the backend. And we have seen a couple of backends there, backend calls there. And let's come back to the front end. So this front end is pretty simple. Is it executing? Yes, it's running. Okay, so the front end, I didn't use much of the React Bootstrap or anything, including the kept it like Redux or any of those things. Kept it to the pretty simple to showcase that how quickly we'll be able to create the uh, CRUD operations in this MERN stack. So we have covered about the Mongo, we covered about Express and Node.js, and we have seen few tips and tricks. What I felt was helpful, I just passed it off. And what we are using is one thing is we are using this React router, and this is the one which I'm using. Okay, so we are using that and React Spinner as well as React Toastify. So to show some toasts on this one. So let me terminate this so that we'll be able to see those things at this point of time. I'll terminate this. Okay, let's spend some time before we go and discuss that one. Anything to focus here? No, nothing to focus over there. And these are the simple things which it comes out of the box. Nothing new. Okay, so nothing new here. So those are the frameworks, and let's come back to this public folder. And inside this public folder, you can see this. We are using the we are using this one, and the font awesome, the CDN. So all those icons we see this, it's coming from this. It's coming from that font icon. So we have this root. The div root is here. So that one, and inside this public I have few images. One is this loader and few books I just hard coded. So it dynamically generates a random number between 1 and 10, and it anytime we add a new book, it just adds that one, the random number, and it generates. So that's the one. And here if we come back to the app, here you can see this component where one second. Yeah, this is the first component where we go ahead and get this app, and we are dropping it here in the router, and we are specifying this document dot get element by id root. So root, we have already seen that in the index.html where div is root. So that one. And the next thing what is happening over here is in this index file, we are telling that here is the first element, and take that element, and where you have to load that, you have to load it in this we have to load it in this container. So this is the element, the first piece is the element, and the second piece is a container. So that's one thing. And one more thing is whatever the bootstrap which we do have, that's what I forgot, or did I remove that? I'm really sorry, because we should see that as part of the uh, BOT. One second, I'm really sorry, guys. Yeah, Bootstrap. It's been installed. I don't know, for some reason I could not see that. The Bootstrap is there because without Bootstrap, I can't do the styling. I'm really sorry for that. For some reason, it's there. I'm really sorry. Yeah, the Bootstrap is also important. The Bootstrap I have included here, and if you see the font, it's being used from the CDN. Okay, those are the two important pieces. I can't help myself without those two things. Now we know that how these things are getting hooked up. So it in the HTML file, we do have this, the container or the div, and where we are going to load everything. And here we have the font awesome. Okay, let's go to the next step in the process. So here we have this app, and this app is loading the top nav bar, and it has got the footer, and it has got this div, and here is the toaster, and then we are having the sticky sidebar. You can see this over here, the sticky sidebar, 15% of that. So two columns, and the 10 columns. I have the 12 columns I divided into 2 comma 10. And here is this switch where we go and route it to different things. So it's all everything is coming in play because of this styles which is there inside this which is there inside is this one. Okay, so let's quickly start and start breaking the application, and then let's start understand how. So I'm starting the server, and let me start. I'm starting the one because if you see this one, I mean, it's not needed that you should use the same structure, but I'm going to check in this structure. So what is happening here is in this package, if you start, it starts the node. From here, I'm going to the backend. I'm starting the server JS, and if you specify npm, if you specify this piece where I can go back and see that. So npm run server, that means it is coming and hitting this line number 9 where it starts the node mon, and instead of node we are starting with the node mon. Nothing special. It's a pretty simple. So we have connected, and here it's going to build that. Okay, while it is building, let's go ahead and build up some other theory. How did we organize this? So under I mean, it's all the best practices which you will be using might be entirely different from what I am using it. It might not be the best practice. It might be my personal choice. Okay, so under the layout, I'm marking it the footer, sidebar, and the top navbar. We can have our own component specific css, but I made it like a server over Nivarni, put all these style sheets in one place. But you guys can follow the best practice and go ahead and have separate styles for each and every component. Okay, so what do we have here? We are using this router, and we heavily used this icons and the Bootstrap functionality. And by default, the default props is there and the prop type. And you can see that this one link which says a bookstore, that's going to the dashboard, and list books and about pages. So again, if you come to this pages, created this home and about is just a small page which shows that, and home page is like a just like a dashboard to create what all the facilities which are available in the application. It's only for those pieces. If you come and see that, these are the two things. Like if I come to home page, it's just this one. And if you navigate to the dashboard, it's just like a couple of widgets, and each of this widget generally it's not the application dashboard, it's like a landing page. Let me rephrase that. It's not a admin dashboard or something where we will show that how many books are there in the stock, or what all the purchases which has happened over last 1 week, or those kind of graphs and other things which comes. That is an entirely different dashboard. Let me call this as a landing page. It's just a landing page when once you go and hit this one. Okay, so here we have this switch case where if it comes to the route, we show this, and if it goes to about it, we are coming in here and showing this one. Okay, now I can show this. There was a small spinner. You can see this just for a fraction of second. You can see that there was a spinner. I will, because we are already running that, so that might be the reason we could not see that for a longer time. Let me go ahead and stop this. I think that the first hit it might take. Again, I'm starting it, and
Swami, maybe you like to wrap in the next 2 or 3 minutes.
yeah, sure. So we have seen that flickering, and another tip in the list page. Okay, another tip is the way I organized is like a screens. where, I mean, under the screens, if you have different modules, we can have books and push all these four inside that books and service. And again, in the service, I used fetch. And if you go ahead and do a comparison whether to use Axios or whether to use fetch, the fetch, I mean, the Axios has got more facilities than fetch. So you can see that we can do the canceling, and we can have interceptors and a lot of other things. And if you see that the data which is coming in this and the body, these are some of the differentiation and inbuilt protection from cross-site request forgery. Here it doesn't, but my use case was pretty simple, just do a CRUD operation. So I was sticking to this one, but I'm not doing any of those facilities. I'm not using it. I just was sticking to this one. Okay, so that's pretty simple. So if you see that fetch, I have the URL, and I'm doing the post and doing this assigning this value. I mean, I'm doing the stringify of this book, taking out all those properties, and these all simple operations. And you can see, let's go through the list one real quick and see this one. We have the use state, one for the books and one for the loading. So that's what we are seeing over here. If you go and go back to some other place and come over here, you can see that the loading symbol, as long the loading is there, we are showing this clock loader. This is one of the excellent thing. You have got hundreds of loaders, and I selected this is the bare minimum I have selected. There are hundreds and hundreds of designs. Okay, so that's one thing. And this table, we already know that until this loading, this will be hidden. If it is false, we'll show this one. And here books.map is coming in here. One thing which I wanted to highlight here is the a rounded circle, where this one and a little bit of shadow on top of this. And this is the picture URL which is coming as part of the API call. And this is another if condition we are using. If the book is active, we are showing the green thumbs up, and book is deactivated, we are showing the red thumbs up. And it's all pretty much an icon without much of a textual label. Like everything, it shows that edit book or a delete book. And we can pretty much go and come back here without harming anything, or we can go and delete that particular row. It shows a small toaster. So a small application which needs all the facilities, like you can do add, update, and uh, something. Pitching, let me add this row. I can see this Manpreet's record has been created. It's a small. I mean, these are dynamically generated, this random numbers, and that's it. So this was the demo from my side.